Hi, Bruce Merrifield here. In this slide, this module, this clip, I want to continue to look at assumptions about change. And this particular one deals with why there are so few companies that are able to change on a continuous basis. And just some anecdotal sort of points. In the book Good to Great that came out in 2000, the publishing writing team, research team, chose 11 companies out of 1,435 publicly traded companies that had continuous history of stock performance and so forth from 1980 to 1995. In 1980, there really were 7,000 companies, but a lot of them got bought up or disappeared or whatever. So really, you could arguably say it's 11 companies out of 7,000 from 1980 on. In the 11 chosen companies, Circuit City was actually the best performer from a stock market viewpoint of the 11 chosen companies. Since the publication of the book, it got continually out-innovated by Best Buy and went bankrupt. Now Best Buy is struggling too because the change that's going on in the environment for the electronics, consumer channel is just that great. In the 90s, a guy named David Birch was trying to do research on where did new jobs come from, and he noticed that no matter which industry he looked at, about 3%, not quite 4%, were what he called gazelles. These guys were growing, 2 to 4 times faster than the industry average. And as a general rule, he said they had to grow 20% per year for at least 3 years to be a gazelle. So who are these gazelles, these perpetual innovators? There have been other studies done about small business and creating jobs, and what they really conclude is about 95% of small businesses really aren't entrepreneurs who are trying to think about the company, work on the company, make the company more capable, and figure out how to invent more value and scale that value and create a wealth machine that's going to feed all stakeholders, including themselves as a major shareholder. But rather, they're companies that are run by people who, in a sense, are self-employed. They may have inherited the business. They're good family stewards. They're trying to not blow it, just keep the thing going. And they're sort of fine-tuning the past and happy with just surviving as opposed to trying to figure out how to thrive perpetually. Or the flip side of that coin is how are only 4% of all existing businesses in mature industries perpetual innovators? And they can scale their business and ultimately sell their business because, ultimately a business has to move on to the next generation of family members or the next owner or shareholders. And when it comes to selling out or having options for how you exit as a personal manager in a company, the faster and better you're growing your free cash flow and having a clean balance sheet, the more options you have, as opposed to the opposite, where you don't make any money and you're very leveraged. You don't have any options at all, if any. Al Bates, down here in the footnote, has for years been doing channel association profit performance reports. And at one point, he had about 10,000 distributors participating in these kinds of performances from 40 different channels. And he said, the top 25% generally look good compared to the bottom 75%, not because the 75th percentile guy is that much better. It's actually just the top 5 to 10% of the distributors who are doing fantastically well that pulls up the whole top quartile. As a general rule, if you go to the 90th percentile, they're doing about 2 times the average return on investment that the bottom 90% is doing. But more amazingly, the top 5% are doing 4 to 6 times the ROI. But of course, top 5% coincides with perpetual innovators, who are the gazelles. So we have to start asking ourselves how many management teams in place can change their thinking to then change their skills to be in tune with the industry life cycle changes, and then we reweave the kinetic chain, which is a little change management implementation model that I have that pops up. And if you just quick and dirty, if you go to my website at merrifield.com, click on exhibits, go to exhibit 16, there it is, or you can read article 2.1 on the sustainable profit power kinetic chain. Or if any of you have my DVD product, or go to Open Sesame, it's module 5.10. So the final question I have for everybody is, how do we make the art, seemingly the magic act of changing successfully high batting average on change into a step-by-step science so that we can much more consistently succeed in our change management programs? And then more importantly, how do we bake this into the DNA of our corporate culture? So that's the next set of assumptions. Moving on to the next set of assumptions. Thank you.